Chris Andrews here with Ben and Lucas from InVisions, here to talk about forthcoming third album, Deadlock. So the album drops in 3 weeks from today. How are you both feeling about it?
I'm nervous, mate. It's kind of come round really quick, going from like announcing it to where we are now. All our days have kind of fallen into one, so it's come out of nowhere, really. But nervous, but ultimately very excited.
Yeah, man, it's getting super exciting. Like, in our camp at the moment, there's a lot of like stuff going on. Like the couple of weeks running up to the actual release is when everything kind of spearheads, and yeah, things are getting a little bit crazy, which is super exciting. We've been working on it for like 2 years, so all of a sudden,
Wow.
yeah, man, it's just a long process, and I got to the point where we've been living in a little recording bubble, so we weren't even like able to think about the fact of it coming out. So now it's actually all happening, and it's being super well received so far. It's exciting, mate. Super exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard the album. Not long got my hands on it, but yeah, going to be reviewing that as well, and it's sounding really good. So
amazing.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So can you tell me some of your biggest influences for writing Deadlock?
Ooh, go on, Ben. Who's your biggest influences?
I've got like a bunch. I don't really like concentrate on one person because I like to progress myself rather than try and imitate somebody. But in terms of oh man, this is a tough one because
you've got different beasts, haven't you?
Yeah, so I can go like, so in terms of clean vocals, Tyler Carter straight away. Like he is unreal. His control, his sound is just phenomenal, and he's a really, really great vocalist. But in terms of screams, I don't have anyone that I try and imitate or say I wish I can do that. I just try and do what I can do, sort of thing.
So what they vocals from York, was it Lorna Shaw's got you pretty excited at the moment, aren't he?
Oh, Will Ramos, he's so good, mate. He's ridiculous. Yeah, he's on another planet at the minute.
Yeah. I know musically for me, it completely changes. I think in terms of like lyric writing stuff, it's more like people like J. Cole and Mac Miller. We were just like rappers, but like musical guitar playing, I think Wage War definitely up there. Polaris, Periphery. Just love a good riff, mate. Can't escape the riff.
So it's almost like you've got my notes in front of you, because I was just about to ask. Tell me about your favorite riff from the album.
Ooh, that's difficult. I love the main riff on Deadlock. That was like
I was going to say that one.
Yeah, I wrote that riff and I was like, okay, so this is where we need to be. Like, this is the kind of space of like wanting to be on the album. It's like it's not the prettiest of riffs, but it's just heavy. It's like bouncy but sludgy, and like, yeah, when it kicks, it's like getting hit by a train at 7 million miles an hour. Which weirdly, it sounds less fun than it is.
And slightly different one. How about your favorite lyric?
It's the favorite lyric for me is off my favorite song. Now let me just try and remember it. Go on, Lucas, while I try and remember this.
I think my favorite at the moment is from the song Last Light, purely because it was written about something quite strange. It was written about a Billie Eilish documentary about seeing her kind of be thrust into this world of like enterprise and being so young. And I think there was like a bit of standout moment in that documentary where she was basically she was kind of like told to go and do all this stuff, and she was like, can I just have like a minute to be a human? And that's where this lyric came from. It's like, to tell me who made the measure, because it's a lonely place to live forever. And I was like, oh yeah, I was quite happy with that one.
That's a nice one, mate. That's a good one. Mine's about and when you're falling apart, just fall with me. That one, it kind of hits different, doesn't it? It's like it's one of the things. If you're feeling shit or you're low, there's other people around you to help you. So you're never on your own, sort of thing. So that one's up there for me.
I like it. Both good ones for sure.
We're so deep, man.
There's I have to say there's definitely more depth in the lyrics on Deadlock, or certainly less profanity than there has been on some of the previous releases. Some of the other ones I've got it cranked up, and I'm like,
we actually had this discussion about it. To be fair, we kind of feel like that if we couldn't, well, we could, but we wanted to kind of like sound a bit more mature with our music and grow a bit more as a band.
So we already have as people, haven't we? Like over the last 2 years, like our whole lives have completely changed. You know, sat here with a furry kid next to me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I think it was just a natural progression with the band, and yeah, there's definitely a conscious kind of shift in that. I think, you know, ultimately we wanted the songs to last a bit more. You know, we didn't want it to just be tagline. We don't want to be that tagline band. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the good line before a breakdown, but you know, as soon as the next band releases a breakdown, it's not there anymore. We wanted something that was, you know, more just like, it was, you know, it's therapy for us as musicians writing it, but it's also something that, like, I guess, you know, in the bigger perspective, other people can probably also relate to and maybe take something completely different from.
I think that's where the direction we went with it. We wanted to write something that meant a lot to us, but also people could latch onto it in their own way. And then that's what extends the shelf life of it, so that it has a long lasting meaning that people could always go back to.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it, in metal to, you know, write something that, there's so many bands and so many albums, particularly in metalcore, that, like, you know, you can, I'm guilty of it as well. I listen to bands and like, oh man, this album's amazing. I listen to it 6 times and I'll never go back.
yeah.
And like, you know, the albums that we go back to is still just old school albums, you know, albums from when we were growing up, like, you know, Stand Up and Scream, Reckless Relentless, like Killswitch Engage albums, Bullet for Valentine. And like, I think the difference is those kind of had a bit more emotional impact. And, you know, obviously when you're younger, you kind of latch onto things because you're still kind of discovering more about yourself, I guess. But that was kind of what we wanted to do with this record. You know, we wanted to make something a little bit more timeless, and that something is, it felt a bit more special to us. And I suppose just it seemed like the right opportunity when we're not playing shows, we're not kind of really doing anything, where you've got a bit more time to be a bit more vulnerable and kind of look at parts of yourself that you've maybe not before and address those.
So looking at your goals for Deadlock, then you'd say you want to make something that people are still coming back to years down the line.
Absolutely,
sure,
man.
100%.
It's like, I feel like, I mean, yeah, this might not be the same for everyone, but for me personally, I know for, like, you know, all the guys, like, we listen to the record and we feel like it's a journey. Like, it starts off one way, by the time it's got to the end, you've had so many ups and downs, and like, particularly like you know, the way that the album closes, that it makes you kind of go like, oh wow, I want to go back and re-listen to that, because it gives you a fresh perspective on everything else. It all ties into one. So, you know, if anyone's listening to the record, start at the beginning, finish at the end, thank us after.
So innovative, starting listening to a record start to finish.
Crazy.
So you've
imagine if, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So imagine if people listen to vinyls like in random orders like they did on Spotify. Imagine getting a vinyl and being like, right, we'll drop it on track 5, then we'll just pull that needle up and scratch it all over to track 3. Oh, shivers.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to ask as well about your UK tour that you did in December. Was that the London show, which was excellent? How was the whole run?
It was wicked, but touring during COVID is weird.
It was a lot of fun, but like it was one of them things where COVID was making its rounds again. So obviously and inevitably we saw a drop off towards the end of people coming, but people still turned up and made it a really good experience and a lot of fun for us. But I think we've now got to get used to doing COVID tests every morning.
Yeah,
because it was the new thing we had to do.
The sounds coming from our van in the morning when we're all doing these like throat test things. Honestly, it's not a pretty sight. I'm pretty sure we're like in some, you know, getting some questionable looks in car parks as they're walking past van.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it just stoked the fire a bit more for us. Obviously, being 2 years out of touring or whatever, and it was refreshing, to be fair. It just made us realize that this is what we want and all we want, and we're going to do it until we get it.
Nice.
Like a one track mind.
Yeah.
So have you got anything in the works that you're looking at to support the album after it comes out with touring?
Yeah, we've got some stuff in the pipeline. I think the thing is, at the moment, with everything being kind of a bit fluid, we're kind of holding our cards a bit longer, because we want to see what's actually going to go on. I know, like, you know, for bands kind of like our stature, like, the best thing we can do is be supporting other bands, you know, to help kind of grow our band. And the issue being is with things, you know, particularly obviously the UK is kind of a bit more back to normal in terms of touring stuff, but everyone who comes to tour the UK tours Europe as well. So until Europe's kind of a bit more stable with that, there's going to be a lot less bands coming across. But yeah, we've got some stuff in the works, probably some stuff that we'll be announcing fairly soon. And yeah, I mean, literally anything any chance we get, we're going to be out across the UK, across Europe as soon as that's a possibility again, you know. And we want to take this album, you know, to some places we haven't been before, you know, maybe more international places. So working on making that happen as well.
Nice, sounds good. How are you doing for time, chaps?
Yeah, good,
fine.
mate.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right, nice one. So just want to loop back to the album. So released 3 singles so far. Nihilist, with the chorus that gets stuck in your head and drives you mad.
that was the plan with that one.
Yeah,
definitely worked. I heard it at the show, didn't catch the name of the track, and got home and I was like, I need to find this track, so I need to listen to it again.
It's like the only way you can get rid of it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So themes of that album is pretty sort of cards on the table, of that track rather, pretty sort of cards on the table. Is there a particular experience that you've had that's inspired those lyrics?
I think that track was actually quite inspired by what we were feeling going through the pandemic. Like, you know, we're watching what we've worked so hard to build effectively falling apart in front of us. And that's kind of where it stemmed from. You know, there's only so much you can sit there and feel sorry for yourself and, you know, take like the constant battering, that at some point you've got to literally just say, like, fuck it, and, you know, let it burn. It's like, if it's gonna go Pete Tong, let it go Pete Tong. So yeah, I think that was like a accumulation of, like, you know, us all sitting in that group chat and getting like fed up and miserable that, you know, we're having to put what we've been working hard for our lives on hold, our careers, you know, and having this thing, you know, this music like element of our identity taken away from us, and kind of trying to figure out who we are without that.
And it wasn't much.
Yeah, we are toilet people without music.
Oh, nice. And then the next one after that was Dupe. So a couple of questions on that one. Dope.
Yeah, the V.
That's the one.
The V's purely for branding. Purely for branding.
So 2 questions on that one. Firstly, were the guitars salvageable after the video? Being in the tanks?
Yeah. So surprisingly, right, they still work completely. One of them, we actually held a competition, and that has gone out to a fan in Southampton. So we signed it and we gave him the guitar. Weirdly, right, so we were, I think me and Alex were in the tanks separately for like 15 minutes each, which was nothing compared to how long Ben was in there for. But 15 minutes can do significant damage to paint on guitars. Apparently, it was like there's cracks around the edges.
Wow.
But all the electronics and stuff, we let them dry out. You know, we had them drying out for a while, and they still work fine. The strings haven't even rusted. Like, I was genuinely quite surprised, because I was like, this is gonna be a total write-off. But yeah, they still work. They're not what you'd call A stock, but maybe some B stock. Yeah, is surprising.
Yeah, and it was I saw that it was quite an experience for you in the tank as well, Ben, making the video.
At which point? It was to be fair, it wasn't too bad to begin with. It was when it was doing the fill-up shots where, you know, the water's gradually rising. We all shot the full tank before that, so that was all like warm water. That was nice. It was just like having a bath.
Yeah.
And then we had to drain that water so that I could do the shots with it filling up. And my God, it was freezing. It was horrible. I mean, I still had to try and make it look cool or whatever, but it was extremely cold, and the box wasn't. I don't know how big I don't know what the dimension of the box were.
It was 6 foot tall, but like 6 foot tall as into the top where, and you're like, well, you're 6'2".
Yeah.
So like you were having to like crouch in anywhere. It was like maybe about 10 foot wide and 6 foot tall or something like that.
Yeah.
But
and it had like, we had to put a lid on it because we couldn't have any like light leaking in, and then the water's shooting in like at my face here, and it's freezing. And then as it gets up, you start like, because it's that cold, oh, panic attack central. Honestly, man, I couldn't breathe. It was horrible. It was
all the while, like,
experience.
You're trying to hear music as well over like gallons of water flying in to try and like, you know, sing along to this tune. And yeah, it's probably the closest you're ever going to get to being in the Titanic.
Literally, yeah. And I just heard Chris, who was shooting it, just start shouting, "Get him out! Get him out!" And then I don't think anybody could really hear it.
You say like when you heard him from being unconscious, just like floating. I think I heard him in my dreams.
And it was cold, and after that I was just sad.
Oh, man, yeah, dedication to the art though, for sure.
Worth it. Yeah, you've got to do it, haven't you? It's one of them things.
It was the first video we shot as well, and I think you were probably thinking like, holy shit, if they're all going to be like this, we're going to have a bit of a problem.
No more water.
Yeah.
That's it. Not yet anyway.
Yeah. And I have to ask as well about the end of it. You mentioned Lorna Shore as well, so when I hear the beat down at the end of Dope, is that written and recorded pre or post to the Hellfire?
I actually remember the conversation. It was before it, but it had the breakdown at the end, and then Lucas kind of just went, "Fuck it, I'm going to slow it down again." and that's literally where that stemmed from.
Yeah.
It was just I think it's like, you know, I mean, I think you're quite known for low screams. You know, it's always like quite funny. We'll go on tour and someone will be like, "Oh, does low screams real?" And they'll hear Ben do them, and it's like, "Oh shit!" It's like always great. You know, sound check. You'll be like, "Yeah, check the mic, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck?" And yeah, I think that song is definitely just a bit of a vocal flex for you. We wanted that just to be unapologetically heavy.
I don't even think I knew Will Ramos was a thing at that point.
I don't think he was. I mean, that song, we shot that music video on like the 1st of January 2021. So that was like a year ago.
Yeah.
And we finished, that was the first song we finished vocally for the album. And we started doing the vocals for the album something like September 2020 or some shit.
Wow.
So it was, it's been
a long time.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then Deadlock, the title track, the latest one to come out. Read about that one being born of writer's block, so writing about writer's block. Is that kind of in the moment? Did you write it to help you out of that situation, or was it looking back on a time when you had it?
It was definitely to help out of that situation. You know, like Ben said, we had this thing where we're like, we don't want to write about the same things we used to write about. We need to make this active change. And it's like, well, I say active change, it wasn't really an active change.
Well, it was kind of like an accidental change. We never sat down and said, we need to change what direction we're going, or we need to change how we write songs or what we write songs about. I think it was just because we've grown up and COVID kind of sparked the change, if you will. It was never like an intentional thing we did.
No, it's like when we play songs now, when we're picking sets, we were going back to the songs that were more meaningful from the previous albums. And that was the songs that we used to like. So that made an impression to us, like that's what we kind of need to focus on more. So with Deadlock, that was like one of the first ones to write vocals for, and tried so many different things and just nothing was working. And it's just like when you can't create, or you're not, you're being your own worst enemy, or you kind of putting yourself in a hole, you get so frustrated, and it's shit. You know, anyone will vouch for that. Like, you know, any kind of creative person, they'll have been there, and it's like it's the worst thing, like, because it's directly connected to how you feel emotionally. Like, you just, you know, if you can't create, then what are you doing? And spent ages trying to write something, and then kind of stopped overthinking it. And that first line came out, which was, it's so true. Literally, I'd probably spent like 2 or 3 days trying to write this song already, and nothing had happened. And then I was like, first line, I've wasted time, wasted my own sanity. At home in hell, I am my own worst enemy. And it's after that, it just flew. It was like, that was the whole point. It was, stop being, you know, overly precious, and stop kind of like judging yourself. Like, just express how you feel. And that kind of set the tone of how to go about the album. Like, to not necessarily try and do anything cool or do anything like this, but just to be honest with how you're feeling, and kind of, you know, have a bit of a look inside, because COVID gave us a lot of time to do that.
For sure. And final question, just to close it out. If you look at the UK metal scene, you've got bands like Architects, While She Sleeps, Bury Tomorrow, kind of flying the flag for UK metalcore. Where do you see InVisions in the future against artists like that?
Hopefully on a massive fucking Wembley tour with them. That'd be sick.
Yeah, put us on the bill with them. I mean, there's plenty of bands out there that you can class as competition, but we never really look at things as competition. We kind of just look at them growing and ruling the roost or whatever, and we just kind of like think, yeah, sweet, we want to do bits like that. We want to do things that they've done or whatever. We never see it as like, oh, maybe we should do what they're doing, and maybe we're not trying to copy, we're just trying to fly our own flag sort of thing.
We're going to be peers, you know what I mean? Like Eddie say, like, these people, like, we look up to them, you know, we're inspired by them. And, you know, I think it'd be nice to just have the opportunity to play some shows with, you know, like even half those bands you mentioned, and just be like, do you know what, dude, I really like your music. Like, how do you go about this? Or, you know, just to, you know, brush shoulders with them, kind of have like, yeah, it's nice. I think, you know, end of the day, every musician, I think a lot of the time, you know, it's 50% luck and 50% talent. And, you know, a lot of these people just appreciate music. So to have these, you know, have conversations with people like that, and hopefully get the opportunity to even maybe like collaborate with some of those artists, that'd be super sick. You know, like work on songs together, that'd be fun. Yeah, I think we'd fit right in. I would love to play with Bullet and, like, you know, do a tour with Bullet. That would be absolute one off the tick list for me. But
no, definitely,
yeah. That's another step with this album. I think this album has, it's not meant to be in small venues. You know what I mean? Like, the songs have the ability to be transferred into larger, you know, venues and to bigger audiences. And I'm like, that's personally what we're hoping for with this album and beyond, to, you know, take it to those bigger kind of arenas. And when I say arenas, I mean, no,
stages.
One step at a time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we want to go to arenas tomorrow, please.
Yeah.
I don't think my guitar's wireless would work in an arena. It'd be like, sorry, dude, you're more than 3 meters away. You better get a better one. Yeah, I definitely think we could.
I think it could take us there, but I would love to play with Bury Tomorrow as well, While She Sleeps, Architects, Bullet. I'd love to, brush shoulders, get to know them and whatnot, get an insight, because anything that they can say with what they've done is going to teach us something, isn't it? So I'm down.
Nice one. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening. Really appreciate it. I will get everything written up and posted, which should be in the next week or so. And there'll be something up review-wise before Deadlock comes out as well. So I'll make sure I share everything on Instagram, on V13's Instagram, and via email with Donna as well. And I'm sure she'll make sure it reaches you.
That's brilliant. Perfect. Thank you for taking the time out, mate. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having us, buddy.
See you later, man.
Catch you soon.
Take care, mate. Bye.